everyone. Welcome back to Relax with Animal Facts. I am Steph Wolf, and today I am going to be learning with you about our furry, scaly, or possibly even slimy friends. And in today's case, it is definitely going to be a slimy friend of ours because we are covering the oh so wonderful Immortal Jellyfish. This is a very special listener episode dedicated to Lexi, who wrote in, I believe it was via Instagram. So thank you so very much, Lexi, for writing in, for the wonderful suggestion, because this episode would not have happened without that suggestion. And also a big thank you to all of you out there listening today on the first episode of season 4. What an amazing journey it has been with all of you guys going through the jungles and the oceans and different sorts of habitats like that together. I am so abundantly grateful and filled with joy every time you guys send messages and emails. I always love reading those. And on that note, I have a big announcement for all of you out there listening. We have passed 100,000 downloads in a little over a year of the podcast being up, and that is seriously amazing. So to try to give back to you guys, I am going to be doing a sweater giveaway. If you live in the United States or Canada, unfortunately, I am not able to ship out that far out into those other parts of the world. But if you are in the United States or Canada, you can go to the Instagram page Relax with Animal Facts and participate in the giveaway. All of the details will be in the post. So if you want a sweater, whatever sweater you would like, it could be one with a panda on it, one with the fox on it, whatever you would like, I will ship it out to you depending on who wins. And I also am writing handwritten letters and signing anything that you guys send in, if it is a picture, a drawing, but keep in mind that I will scan to keep a copy of it myself for all the drawings that you guys send in. Please send in your handwritten letters and your wonderful drawings that you guys send me over email or over Instagram. Send it in the mail to the P.O. box that is on the Instagram as well, and I will sign your picture, send it back with a handwritten letter. I love getting mail from you guys. So over these past couple of weeks, I think the break was about a month in total from season 3 to the beginning of season 4. Many of you guys left some reviews, and I'm excited to read them over the next couple of weeks. This one comes from Canada, and it is written by SW.22. SW writes, I am so glad I found this podcast after listening to a bunch of episodes in just a few days. Steph is so kind, and I feel that he truly appreciates his audience, which I do, SW. He also credits all of his sources, which is great. I'm excited for season 4, but I hope you enjoy the break first. Regarding the Kinkajou episode, please tell us about your bee stories. Thank you for all your time that goes into this great podcast. Wow, what a wonderful review. And there are a few things in there to answer and respond to. The first thing being that I did enjoy my break, although in real life it was not that much of a break. Of course, I had many things to do, but I really did miss doing the podcast. So I'm glad to be back. And regarding my bee stories, for those of you that didn't listen to the Kinkajou episode, I believe I mentioned how I had a bee or a wasp story to tell that I in the future would tell if somebody asked. So my first bee story comes from when I was a youngin'. I must have been maybe 5 or 6 years old, and I was walking around the streets of Poland, because that is one of my nationalities, for those of you that didn't know. And a bee decided that it didn't really like the outdoor space as much as it did the space in between my sunglasses and my eyeballs. So the bee flew right underneath my sunglasses and buzzed all around I believe it was my left eye, and ended up stinging me right in the eyelid. So that was not very fun. And in Poland, one of the ways that they like to help with swelling is with onions. So you can imagine little 6-year-old Steph Wolf with an eye or an eyelid twice the size, rubbing onions into it, and I was crying. And I think I cried more on that day than I did the rest of my entire childhood, which is very funny to reflect on back now. The other story that I have is from a wasp. This was fairly recent, although there wasn't as much crying involved as the first story. A wasp ended up going right underneath my pants, into my pants, and stung me all over the legs. And I have to say that I had some pretty good dance moves to try to shake that wasp out of there. So those are just a couple of my stories with some of our friends in the animal kingdom. I hope it is as amusing to you as it is to me now looking back on it. So thank you, SW.22, for your very kind review. If you would like to support the show in one of the biggest ways that you can leave a review on Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen that has reviews available. Now let's get into where I got my sources from so we can get into the show. I got my facts from app.com and from famousscientists.org. So if you want to learn more about the Immortal Jellyfish, I really encourage you guys to go to those websites that I will post in the show notes, because I wouldn't have these facts available to me had it not been for these resources. And now let's not dilly-dally anymore and get into the relaxation portion of the show, where we can get ready to learn about this wonderful animal. So I want you guys to sort of go through your body and realize where you're carrying some of that tension. Is it in your legs? Have you been walking most of the day? Maybe it's in your back. Maybe it is in your neck, like me. I don't know how I slept last night, but my neck is not feeling the best. So I want you to do your best to relax that part of your body, or parts. It could be multiple parts as well. So I'm going to do that with you guys as we go into this immersive experience with me Steph Wolf, into the oceans where the immortal jellyfish reside. So this certain species of jellyfish has been deemed immortal by scientists who have observed its ability to, when in crisis, revert its cells to their earliest form and grow anew. This is something that sounds like it could have such vast medical applications. And this means that these tiny creatures, which are only about 4 to 5 millimeters in length, potentially have infinite lives. We've all heard how cats can have 9 lives, but the jellyfish one-upped it supposedly an infinite number of times. And this jellyfish is scientifically known as Turritopsis nutricula. I bet you guys missed me pronouncing these difficult scientific names. And this jellyfish was discovered in the Mediterranean Sea in 1883. But its unique regeneration was not known until the mid-1990s. So as far as scientific discoveries go, this is still pretty recent, within the last 25 to 30 years. I always like to imagine what human life would be like if we shared some of these amazing abilities that these creatures do so naturally. The medical applications just seem so far-reaching that it is hard to even wrap your mind around. If a mature Turritopsis, remember that's the scientific name for this jellyfish, is threatened, injured, or starving, it will attach itself to a surface in warm ocean waters and convert into a kind of blob. And from that state of blobbishness, that I believe is the scientific term, its cells will undergo a process known as transdifferentiation, in which the cells essentially transform into different types of cells. And from that state of blobbishness, which I believe is the scientific term for that state, its cells will undergo a process known as transdifferentiation, something that sounds very science-y, but this is a process in which the cells essentially transform into different types of cells. This means that cells like nerve cells can change into an entirely different kind of cell, like a muscle cell. And this, according to the original study of the species that was published in 1996, reveals a transformation potential unparalleled in the animal kingdom. So we are dealing with a species that has quite amazing capabilities. But this doesn't mean that they will live forever just because in theory they can. They can and do die. Their regeneration only occurs after sexual maturation, which means that they can succumb to predators or disease in the polyp stage. But if all things go right, they will often be just fine. But the animal kingdom and the wild can be a place of sheer unpredictability, as many of you have realized throughout listening to this show. But because the jellyfish are the only known animal with this kind of immortality, scientists are studying them closely with the hopes of applying what they learn to issues such as human aging and illness. So sort of the things as we were talking about before in terms of medical application. But I'm pretty sure I have heard something about lobsters before. I don't entirely know, but in the future, if we do a lobster episode, I am quite sure we will find out. Ever since the discovery of this immortal jellyfish in the Mediterranean Sea, more identical species have been found in places like the Atlantic Ocean side of Panama, Spain, and even Japan. The reason they are so spread out is that they get caught in ballast waters that come from long-distance ocean cargo vessels. So we as human beings can really have a large impact on our environments more than any other species in the history of this earth. I think the animal that would be next up in line for the award of most able to change their environment would be an animal that we've already covered, which is the beaver. If you haven't listened to that episode yet, I very much encourage you to do so. Those guys are so cool. Though most of the species are genetically identical, they have come up with different physical adaptations depending on their environments. For instance, specimens that live in tropical waters have 8 tentacles, while ones from more temperate regions have 24 tentacles. So we can see here what we see very often in that different species can be significantly different. We're talking about some having 3 times the amount of tentacles than another. And the main diet for these immortal guys usually consists of fish eggs, plankton, and tiny mollusks. So they will eat things that are very close to their size, which is very small. And if you're wondering about that signature jellyfish sting, they indeed do sting, but they are not poisonous like some of their close relatives, like the box jellyfish. That is a very good animal to cover on a future episode, and I know that some of you have already requested it. Don't worry, I have it written down. And now we are going to do just a couple of interesting facts near the end of the episode here. It is unknown how old the oldest immortal jellyfish is. That is something I think that makes a lot of sense. If scientists were to claim that they know how old the oldest immortal jellyfish was, I would be pretty skeptical. And I feel like if you wanted to get rid of an animal researcher for quite a while, you would ask them to do this very thing. Hey, find the oldest immortal jellyfish around. So who knows, maybe someone is on the task right now. It is the only jellyfish species that does not remain in the last stage, called the Medusa stage, until death. So these guys are extremely unique. And for the last fact of the show, we always say where the name comes from. And I think that in this case, it seems fairly obvious when it comes to the word immortal, that usually refers to something that is undying or can live forever. So I imagine that is exactly why this jellyfish was given this nickname. And wow, what a start to season 4, learning about one of the most special jellyfish species in the world. thank you again, Lexi, for that awesome suggestion of yours. If you want to learn about an animal on the show, please feel free to either send a message through Instagram to Relax with Animal Facts, or you can send an email to relaxwithanimalfacts@gmail.com. I respond to each and every one of you. I sometimes get lost in some of the messages, but I believe I have responded to everyone. If I have missed you, then please send me another message and you can make fun of me at the same time. So everyone that is listening to this podcast, when it has come out, which is on July the 5th, the contest is going to be running for about 2 weeks. So make sure to get on that Instagram page and to enter the contest to win your very own Relax with Animal Facts sweater. So thank you all for tuning in to the first episode of Season 4, and I look forward to seeing you guys on the next episode with the next animal. Take care.